You're listening to the Beautifully Enough podcast with Valerie Reynolds, episode 30. Hey there, sweet friend. Or maybe you're a new friend. If so, welcome to the Beautifully Enough podcast. Are you finding yourself living in the ordinary? Or is your mind full of nothing but negative self-talk? Trust me, I have been there, sister. I know what it's like to feel unqualified, unworthy, and not confident. You constantly feel like there is a more powerful version of yourself living inside of you, but you just can't seem to get past those mental obstacles that are holding you back. I want to help you dive deeper into the truths in your life, the real truths God speaks over who you are as a woman, wife, mom, sister, friend, CEO, or a stay-at-home mom like me. Now is your time to break those chains and start exploring that hidden potential of your confidence and your beauty, both inside and out. This is Valerie Reynolds, your new confidence coach, and this is the Beautifully Enough podcast. Hey friends, welcome back to the Beautifully Enough podcast. I am pumped for this episode. I know I open pretty much every episode with I'm pumped or I'm excited or some sort of synonym to that word, excited, pumped, enthusiastic, whatever you want to call it, but I really am. Okay, this is how excited I am about this episode. It's because I'm separating it into two episodes. That's how good it is. It's worthy of two parts. So this is actually going to be a series, guys. So if you like what you hear today, then I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger because I'm only going to give you step 1 today. And if you want step 2, you got to subscribe. And then you got to come back next Monday to hear step 2. Okay? So this is going to be so great because I know this is going to resonate with so many of my friends, my listeners, all of you that I know this is a thing, especially for women. Guys, I'm sorry if you're listening to this. We love you, but I'm going to talk to the women right now. Men, this can definitely relate to you as well. But as a woman, what we are going to talk about today, the topic of the day, the topic of the next 2 weeks is going to hit home because I know you are either sitting in this right now or maybe you just got over this part and you know another season is going to come. You know another wave is going to hit you and you're going to feel this all over again. And when that happens, you need to remember this episode so you can come back to it because I'm going to give you tangible steps that you can take to find your strength and your weakness. So that is actually going to be our series, okay? If you're feeling weak right now, weak, by weak, I mean maybe physically weak, maybe spiritually weak, maybe it's emotionally weak. Do you feel weak? Do you feel exhausted? You feel tired? I know you do, or you have. You know what that feels like. For some of you, you feel weak because you have too much on your plate. I'm guilty of that. I can put so much on my plate. I want to do all the things all the time. And if they're not all done in my 2-second deadline, then I am just exhausted. I am frustrated and I'm not in a good mood. So I feel weak. Maybe I feel exhausted from that. I feel exhausted because I have too much on my plate. I feel burnout because I have too much on my plate. For others, you may feel weak because you give and give and give from your cup. You provide for everyone else and you don't take care of yourself in the process. You don't pour into yourself. Maybe some of you maybe you're business owners. Maybe you are entrepreneurs. I'm talking to you too. Maybe you aren't feeling very successful right now. Maybe you're not making the big jumps, the big sales, the big strides in your business. And because of that, you're working so hard. You feel like it's hustle, 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 grind, grind, grind. And I just need to grind a little bit more. And then I will achieve my success. But in the middle of all of that, you're starting to feel that burnout. I've been there. Trust me, I have been there. I know what that feels like. Maybe the devil is on full-blown attack mode in your life. You feel like nothing is going right now. You guys feel me on that? Do you ever have those days and then those days turn into weeks? One bad thing that one bad morning all of a sudden something bad in the afternoon happens, and then all of a sudden that night something else happens, and then the next day it rolls over and something else happens, and this and that, and somebody gets sick, and then you get your hours cut, and then you lose income, and then you lose your job, and you're just full of worry and stress and anxiety, and that's just sucking the energy and the life out of you. I'm exhausted just reading it. But if that's you, if you've ever experienced that, or you are currently experiencing it right now, then this series is going to be for you. And so this series is going to be titled How to Find Your Strength When You Are Feeling Weak, and you are listening to part 1. There's a part 2 coming. That's how good this was. When I was digging into it, I just kept typing. I kept typing note after note after note. And finally, I decided this is either going to be a really long podcast, or maybe I should separate into 2 parts. And that's what we decided to do. So this is part 1. I'm going to give you step 1, how to find your strength when you're feeling weak, because I know that can feel impossible. I know that can feel impossible. I feel so tired. I feel so burnt out. I feel so exhausted. I have no energy to do anything else. I can't give anymore. I can't give anymore, and I don't know how to recharge myself. That's usually the problem, isn't it? We give and we give and we give, and we feel the tiredness, but we don't know how to get the strength back. That's what we're going to talk about, okay? So this is actually inspired from my devotional that I've been reading this week. And so here's a little background on me in case you haven't listened to any episodes where I tell you about who I am. Hi, I'm Valerie. I'm 34, just turned 34. Don't feel 34, feel about 24, but I'm 34. I am a wife, a coach's wife. I'm a mom of 2. I run an at-home business. Plus, I am the cook. Plus, I am the maid. The maid sucks right now, but we have a maid nonetheless. She hasn't gotten the laundry yet, and there's about 3 loads of laundry in the laundry room. I digress. Let's keep going. So I'm a mom, and I know other moms feel me. I have a lot on my plate. And I know there's a misconception whenever you work from home or you stay from home. There's a misconception that you just are eating bonbons on the couch, drinking champagne or mimosas or whatever your drink of choice is. But can we just agree? Because I've been in I've had multiple seasons in my life. I've had the career. I've had a busy schedule working 60 plus hours a week. And then all of a sudden I turned into a mom at the same time. So I had mom duties on top of that. Plus my husband has an insane, I thought 60 hours a week with teaching and coaching was crazy, but he was probably getting close to 80 or 90 hours a week. So I didn't have much help here at the house. My life was exhausting and stressful and chaotic and busy then. And then I decide to come home, work from home, and we have our daughter. So now I add a second kid to the mix. She is very clingy. She is sweet, gorgeous baby girl, but she can be a little vampire and suck the living life out of me, needs me all the time, fights me on nap. Plus my son, he's so smart, but needs mommy's attention a lot. And then daddy comes home, needs mommy's attention a lot. Plus I got to make sure the house is clean. I got to make sure people have clean underwear. I got to make sure everybody's fed. Plus I still have my business I have to work because that's how I make money. So I have a lot on my plate. And so can we just all agree, first of all, before we even get into this whole podcast, everyone's busy. Our busy just looks different. Can we agree on that? Everyone's busy. And that's almost a bad thing. We're actually going to talk about that. Okay, so let's get back to my notes here. So I have a plate full of life. That's like 3 minutes of me just rambling along about how we all have a plate full of life, including myself. I understand what it means and how tiring it is to wear 5 bajillion hats on our head, okay? So I use the Bible app. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you see that every morning, Monday through Friday, I do a devotional. And I've had people ask me multiple times, Val, where do you do your devotionals? So super simple, go to the App Store, go to Google Play, wherever you download your apps, and go to the Bible app, okay? And then from there at the bottom is a button you can click and it says plans. And then you can just search a keyword. Search a keyword with your problem area that you are struggling with. And then boom. There's like all these different plans. They range from 3 days long to 7 days long. You can take your pick and it takes me like 5 minutes to read them. Okay. Highly recommend if you don't have much time on your hands, go get that app and pour into it. Can I call us out real quick? If we can watch Netflix, if we can watch one episode of Netflix for an hour, we can take 5 minutes and do a quick devotional in our phone. We can do that, guys. We can commit to that. Okay. So anyways, I do these devotionals, and this past week I dove deep into one that's called Kingdom Leadership. And the plan Actually, the plan was titled Called to Influence. So I typed in kingdom leadership, and the plan I listened to was Called to Influence, okay? And it's about kingdom leadership in the workplace. And it was 7 days long, and it's one devotional, and then usually they follow it up with 2 to 3 verses, and I just absolutely loved it. But this is what I read, okay? This was the one paragraph that just, sometimes when you read things, guys, and God just speaks to you, and sometimes the words don't pop out of the page, and then sometimes they just like go and punch you square in the jaw. This one punched me square in the jaw. This is what inspired this whole series. This is what it says, the paragraph, straight from this devotional. Our reality is we are in a spiritual battle with Satan, transmitting his negative energy, which we pick up consciously or subconsciously. The movie industry goes to great lengths to manipulate our emotions, to scare us or leave us feeling sad, happy, or angry. If we can learn to recognize the atmosphere Satan is trying to create, we can make a choice to take authority over it. And in doing so, bring what is affecting into alignment with heaven. Kingdom-style leaders who do this are a force to be reckoned with and make Satan quake because he has nothing in his armory to stop them. And it's those last few words that ignited this whole idea. The words where it says, he is in Satan. He has nothing in his armory to stop them. Them meaning us. Them meaning us kingdom-style leaders, the children of God, us. He doesn't have anything in his armory to stop us. But if that's the case, how, or maybe the better question is why, are we feeling weak? If we're so powerful, where Satan doesn't have anything in his ammunition to take us down, why do we feel so weak? And so we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you 2 steps as to how you can find your strength to overcome this atmosphere that Satan creates. Satan's super smart. And this is actually more of part 2 for next week. But really quickly, Satan creates this environment around you. He's smart. He can't make you do anything, but he knows how to push your buttons. Just be aware of that this week. That's not what this week's topic is about. We're going to talk about something different, but I just feel like maybe somebody needed to hear that. Be aware of your atmosphere around you. And is Satan just trying to push your buttons to make you react instead of having Christ-like responses? Okay, so let's go back to the topic at hand. This series is titled Finding Your Strength When You Are Feeling Weak. And so I want to give you 2 things that you can implement starting today to start finding your strength again. Okay, and we're going to go over step 1. Part 1 is today. Part 2 is going to be next week. So step 1 of finding your strength when you're feeling weak. Here it is. Sister, you need to move over and let God be strong for you. 2 Corinthians 12, 9 through 10 says, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong." See, guys, when you are feeling weak, maybe you're feeling weak right now. If you are feeling weak, this is the prime moment for God to step in on our behalf. See, we are not strong enough alone. Sometimes we think we are, but we're not. You are not strong enough alone. You will feel weak. You will feel tired. You will feel exhausted. You will feel worried. You'll feel anxious because we are trying to do all of these things in life under our own strength. We hustle, we work hard for our businesses, but then we burn out because we can only tap into our own power reserve. It's like we have this battery, but we have no charger. Eventually, you will run out, and we are not made to do that. We get frustrated with our children. We get impatient with our children. We feel exhausted at the end of the day because we are trying to operate all day under our mommy power. And that's it. We don't try to operate under another spiritual divine power. We instead just try to pour from our own cup instead of looking for some way to recharge it. We experience these feelings of overwhelm when everything is going wrong. We feel like nothing can go right. Everything's out of control. And we are measuring this circumstance against our own power. And when we do that, we feel helpless. Did you follow that? Are you feeling helpless right now? If you're feeling helpless, it's probably because you're looking at this big mountain of overwhelm, everything that you are trying to conquer all on your own. But it's because subconsciously you're only thinking of your own strength in order to do it. So of course you're going to feel helpless because you don't have the power within you. You by yourself don't anyways. And so what do we do in all these circumstances? You guys are Christian women. You guys listen to this podcast. You probably have some cognizant thought of, okay, I need to pray. So we're going to turn to God and we try to pray it away, right? Like, God, take this away. God, fix this. God, help me hit my goal. God, bless my hustle. God, bring the harvest. God, help me be more patient with my kids. God, help my kids act better today. God, for goodness sake, tell my husband to wash the stinking dishes. We ask and we ask and we ask like God's some sort of genie. But instead, I want to propose something different. You have heard that song by Carrie Underwood. Jesus, take the wheel. Corny, I know. I'm not going to sing it to you because I don't sound like Carrie Underwood. But this is what I'm going to propose to you. Stop treating God like a genie, asking him to fix it, and instead, literally let Jesus take the wheel. Really think about what I'm trying to say, okay? Let's have this metaphor. You are in a car. You are driving. We're women. We may not be very good drivers, but we're driving, okay? We are the ones in the driver's seat. So imagine yourself in a car and you're driving and you're driving. And after a while, you have forgotten how long it's been since you slept, how long it's been since you've eaten. And when that stuff starts to happen, are you the best driver? You're feeling tired, right? Barely can keep your eyes open. Your stomach is growling. You are distracted. You're feeling weak. You're feeling tired. And you probably shouldn't be on the road anymore. You probably should not be driving. If this was an actual physical scenario, I would hope we would pull over and let somebody else drive, right? Somebody who is refreshed, somebody who has the energy, somebody who has the power. And that's the logical thing to do, right? So why do we not do that in our real lives? When this applies to our life, we don't want to give somebody that wheel. You would rather push through life tired, exhausted, hungry, on an empty tank rather than pulling over and giving complete control to God. You would rather hustle every minute of every day than take your 24-hour Sabbath day of rest, right? You would rather work hard a little bit longer instead of backing off and saying, hey, God, I'm going to give you a full day. I am going to rest and I'm going to trust you to work. We aren't trained to do that. We aren't taught to do that, are we? Our society tells you to hustle and grind, hustle and grind. And when we back off, all of a sudden that fear seeps in. We're scared that it's going to fall apart. Moms, let's talk to you. You may refuse to get a babysitter for 2 hours because you don't want to spend the money, but you are yearning for some quiet time. You need it. You need the rest, but you don't want to get the babysitter. You don't want somebody to come watch your kids so you can have that quiet time and that rest and that romantic stroll down Target. Maybe you are the one that never says no. You are always the yes man, which sometimes is a good thing. But sometimes when we say yes to everything, we put too much on our plate, and then what happens? We're tired, we're stretched thin, we're exhausted, all because we're too afraid to hurt somebody's feelings with a no. And guys, I know you want to be Superwoman. I want to be Superwoman. I want to do all the things with all the things and put it all on my shoulders. But guys, we were not made to do that. We need to rest. We need to rest. That is my point of today. Step 1 of finding your strength when you're feeling weak. Move over, sister. Let God be strong for you. And how do you do that? You need to loosen those reins. And you need to rest. Guys, even God rested. You want to know why you need to rest? Here, Genesis 2, verses 1 through 3. So the heavens and the earth were completed, and all that is in them. On the 7th day, God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had done. Then God honored the 7th day and made it holy, because in it he rested from all his work which he had done. Why do we forget that? God needed rest. He needed to breathe. He breathed life out of his lungs into our world. He needed to breathe too. He needed to rest. Y'all, if God needs to rest, then you do too. You are not made almighty. You are not made indestructible. You are not made with unlimited energy. And this is a command, but even more so, look at it as a gift. You have permission. God has given you permission. He has packaged up this day of rest in this cute little Tiffany's blue box for you. Why do we not take it? Deuteronomy 5:17 says, do not murder. Deuteronomy 5:18 says, do not commit adultery. Deuteronomy 5:19 says, do not steal. Would you agree with all those? Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal. The 10 Commandments, right? I'm reading through those. Yeah, all those are wrong. Those are the rules. Those are the commandments. We're going to follow them. And those are all in Deuteronomy chapter 5. Those are verses 17, 18, and 19. But back up just a few verses. Do you know what Deuteronomy 5:12 says? It's also part of the 10 Commandments. Right up there with do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal. Observe the Sabbath and keep it holy, as I, the Lord your God, has commanded you. Then if you skip over to verse 13, it says, you have 6 days in which you were to work. But the 7th day is a day of rest dedicated to me. On that day, no one is to work, neither you, your children, your slaves, your animals, nor the foreigners who live in your country. Your slaves must rest just as you do. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and that I, the Lord your God, rescued you by my great power and strength. That is why I command you to observe the Sabbath. Guys, the Sabbath is up there with do not murder. That's how serious God takes it. Do not murder. And y'all, I could have also stopped by just saying observe the Sabbath and keep it holy, right? Like that's significant within itself, but there's a reason why I kept reading. I kept reading so I could read verse 15, where verse 15 says, remember that you were slaves in Egypt and that I, the Lord your God, rescued you by my great power and strength. And that is so significant. I don't feel like this is highlighted enough, and I had to learn it when I was learning about the Sabbath because, guys, I just now started to realize how important the Sabbath was, and it has been game-changing. I feel so rested. I feel so refreshed, but even more so, I feel a shift in my business. I feel a shift in who I am as a mother. I have to be real careful with that word, shift. I feel a shift in my motherhood and how I parent my kids and how I treat my husband. I'm not perfect, but I feel it. This is so important to me now, and I want everyone to understand why rest is so important. And I don't think I know we don't rest enough because I didn't rest enough. Okay, so let me come back to this. Okay, so Deuteronomy 5:12 said, observe the Sabbath and keep it holy. But I want to emphasize the significance of verse 15, where he talks about, I, the Lord your God, rescued you by my great power and strength. And that is so significant because here's why. When we don't rest, when we are going 600 miles an hour through life and we experience that exhaustion, that burnout, we're too scared to turn it off because we're fearful that it's not going to stay together. We feel like it's going to crumble if I don't keep working. If I don't keep an eye on it, it's going to crumble. But see, this is coming from a place that you are in control of. This idea that you did it all. You built it all. Nobody else contributed to this but you. So if you don't keep showing up, it's all going to fall apart. And I know that may not be your intention. That may not be what you're thinking. But when you break it down, doesn't that make sense? And isn't that part of our problem? We don't breathe, we don't stop long enough to actually understand what we're doing. Because if we slow down long enough to look and evaluate at what this is actually doing to us, we would see that's how we're acting. We're acting as if we did all of this. And when we refuse to rest, we're basically telling God, I don't think your grace is enough for me. I trust my own hustle. I trust my own work ethic over your blessing. I trust my strength over yours. And I don't have the faith that you are going to sustain it in my absence. And that hurts. doesn't it? God, I'm not trying to do that. God, I believe in you. I love you. I trust you. I know. But he's looking down on us right now and he's saying, daughter, then if you trust me, then trust me. I'm not asking for 5 days out of the week. I'm asking for 1. Do we realize what we are doing to ourselves? Do we realize what we actually mean when we do this? Guys, we need to exercise our faith inside of us. And we do that by breathing, by resting. We have to let God drive for a while. I promise you, he isn't going to screw it up when we're gone. I think that's our job. I think we are the ones that screwed up more than he doesn't screw up. He's perfect, right? He's not going to screw it up. He's not going to let it crumble. He's not going to let it fall. We need to breathe. Let God drive. Isaiah 56:2. Blessed is the one who will faithfully keep his commitment. Yes, blessed is the one who honors the Sabbath and does not disregard it. So guys, it's simple. Step 1 of finding your strength when you're feeling weak is an easy concept. Rest. Rest because God has given you that day of rest. Rest because God rested. Rest because you have faith. God will continue to bless your life even when you are not working. Rest. And that's how you are going to regain your strength. You guys join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I want to lift up every single ear that is listening to these words right now. I ask that you open the eyes of their heart, Lord, that you soften their hearts so they receive this word, because I know that this is a scary concept to some of us. I know it was scary to me. I know that I was hesitant to do it. I wasn't sure, but the more and more I read about it and the more I prayed about it to you, the more I realized I did need this rest. And I ask that you just work inside my sisters, that they listen to the words that you are speaking directly to them right now in this moment, and that they are just open to a conversation with you. And it's okay, that they know it's okay to say, God, tell me why. Explain it to me. Show me what I need to do. Grow my faith inside of my heart. I trust you, Lord. I trust you with my life. I trust you with my family. I trust you with my household. I trust you with my business, Lord. And because I trust you and I have faith, I will honor my rest. I will receive my gift of rest from you, Lord. And I ask, Lord, that you fill their cups up. I ask that you overflow their cups where they are just so full of passion and purpose and joy and energy. And it's coming from a place that isn't going to run out because it's coming from you. It's coming from you, God. So I ask that you just overflow their cups, that they leave feeling energized, that they leave feeling hopeful, and that we leave this podcast just shining a little bit brighter, and that we feel a little more energy. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you guys so much for joining me on today's episode of the Beautifully Enough podcast. Remember, this is only part 1. And so if you are ready to dive into part 2, that is coming next week. So you guys stay tuned. Make sure you click that subscribe button so you don't miss it. And I will chat with you guys next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Beautifully Enough podcast. Your support means the absolute world to me. Please do me a huge favor and leave me a quick review. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you are one of the first to get the newest episode every week. Find me on Instagram at Val_Reynolds. Take a screenshot of the episode you are loving and tag me in your Instagram stories. I would love to connect with you more on social media. Catch you guys next week. Bye.